There you go. All right, welcome to Room and Unwind. We're beginning on our back this evening. Feel free to begin seated if that's more comfortable. So we're starting in this supine butterfly. So soles of the feet come together, knees come wide. You could bring blocks underneath the outer thighs. And then we're going to place our hands over our belly as we come into this position, wiggle around, scoot around as needed, and then bringing those hands to the belly when you're ready. And then we'll begin to take some bigger breaths, almost as if we're breathing into the belly. So the belly rises a little bit into the hands as you breathe in. And then the belly lowers as you exhale. A little engagement, even of the core, to press all the air out. So this is our belly breathing, a great tool and breathing exercise to come to when you're feeling those overwhelming feelings, maybe of anxiety or overwhelm, or just kind of the chaotic feeling, right? The busy feeling. This breath can bring us into our body, take us out of our thoughts, our ruminating thoughts at times. Can be very calming for our nervous system as well. So if you're just joining or starting on our back, feel free to start seated. Have our hands on our belly. And let's just take another few breaths of this belly breath. And then as you're ready here, we'll take our hands just to the outside of the knees, thighs, help our knees to center. And then place the feet on the floor, a little bit apart. Knees could maybe knock together here. We're just going to come into this passive rest. So feel free to take the arms wide, maybe cactus arms, or reaching the arms overhead in some way. You could grab opposite wrists or elbows above the head. And then think about relaxing around the pelvic area, the belly, the hips. Relaxing around the shoulders as our chest opens. And we're nice and open here around the lungs. So bringing in a little more breath, bigger breath than our usual breath. And we'll go ahead and release the arms a little here. Gently release the knees, keep the feet as they are, about hip width, and then gently release the knees over to the right. So we're going to get a stretch in this left hip, Left side body, knees gently over to the right. And then you might take your right heel to the outside of the left thigh, knee. Be gentle there with the knee to give yourself that just self-adjustment. Couple breaths here on this side. And release. Gently bring the knees back to center. I'm going to take them over to the other side. So gently release the knees over to the left. And we may stay here, taking that left heel to the outside of the right thigh. We don't want to place too much pressure down on the knee. Just see if it works. Release it if it doesn't. And on your next inhale, bring those knees back to center. Let's straighten our right leg out and our left leg out. The legs are long. We'll reach our arms overhead, taking a full body stretch. So reach back through those fingertips. You might point through the toes. Maybe reach with right, then left, lengthening along the side body. And this might work for some of us, but it might turn you backwards. We're going to flip onto our belly. You might just roll right onto the belly, or you might turn around, depending how you want to face. We're going to come to our belly or hands and knees if you'd rather come up to a tabletop position. We'll take our forearms down here for Sphinx, elbows underneath the shoulders, palms down, and then lift the heart. Pressing down into the top of the pelvis, tops of the feet. And if you're up on hands and knees in that tabletop position, some cat and cows is a great option here. So in this cobra, lifting the heart, but softening the shoulders a bit, taking the shoulder blades down the back. Feel free to release at any time. And we'll take one more full breath. And gently release. Come off of the elbows. You can lower the head to the back of the hands. Crocodile position, where our neck is nice and neutral. The head is supported. And we're just letting the front body just ground into the floor here. A couple more breaths. You might rock the head side to side. You can bend the knees, windshield wiper the legs. And then as you're ready here, we'll take the hands underneath the shoulders. Press up and back, take a child's pose. Bringing the knees wide, big toes touch. Feel free to keep the hips lifted if that feels more comfortable in the knees. Otherwise, you'll reach the sit bones towards the heels. Lengthen the arms forward. Forehead coming down, maybe to the back of the hands once again. Notice the breath. Let's take one more full breath here. And on your next inhale, rise on up. We'll make our way up to hands and knees. So here I'm going to give us a couple options. We're going to target our outer hip here. So pigeon is going to be an option, or we'll come to a seat and find figure four, or even onto your back. You can find this figure four. Otherwise, pigeon, we're going to take our right shin forward, extend the left leg back behind us. Sit up nice and tall as we square hips and shoulders. And then sleeping pigeon, let's come forward onto the palms, the forearms, maybe support the head. I always like to bring a block underneath the forehead here, but stacking the fists could work great as well. And that other variation, seated figure four or lying figure four, stretching the same area or outer hip. So wherever you are, we'll just take another 10 breaths or so. If you want to keep track, it does help the mind stay present. Otherwise, just keep bringing the attention to the breath, the body, the stretch. On your next inhale, start to come on out of that side. If you're figure four in it, go ahead and just switch. Otherwise, yeah, coming on up in that pigeon, you might shake that right leg out a little bit. And then other side, left shin forward. Right leg extends back, sit up tall, square hips, shoulders. Ideally, we want to keep this flatter lower back. So that might mean we bring a block or cushion pillow underneath this left outer hip to keep that level lower back as we come forward. Level pelvis. Settle in, support the head if possible. Awareness of what comes up. We tend to hold a lot in our hips. So it's common to feel just maybe emotion, maybe heavier feelings. Just be the observer here. Notice what comes up without judgment. Just another couple breaths on this side. And on your next inhale, and that pigeon will start to come on up. Everyone make your way to your seat, and I'll straighten those legs out in front of us here. Give that leg a shake for being in that position, whether it was figure four or pigeon. Kind of wiggle out the feet, ankles, wiggle the toes. And then here we're going to come into a seated forward fold. So you could bring the feet apart a little bit, maybe bend the knees. We might use a strap, but we'll sit up tall here as we inhale. And exhale, come forward, folding over the legs. Feel free to bring this rounding at the back, let the head come forward. More of a yin style, rounding the back, relaxing the legs as best you can, letting the feet relax. Holding our body in half right here. Feeling that stretch all along the back of the body. Relax the face, the jaw. One more full breath. And next inhale, round up, roll up out of that fold, let the head come up last. And let's make it back to our back. Back to our back we go. We'll be here for the rest of the time together. And once you're there, hug the knees into the chest. Notice how the body may feel different than the first time we were here. And then go ahead, as you're ready, we'll hug that right knee in, extend the left leg long, or feel free to keep both knees in. That right knee hugging in, and we'll take it over to the left. So right knee or both knees over to the left. Reach back through that right arm, gaze back, if that's comfortable on the neck, supine twist. So feel free to bring a pillow underneath that bent knee or in between the knees. It can be a great way to support this position. And it may just change it for you. It might just take it out just enough so that we can let go and release a little more. On your next inhale, come back to center. Switch sides, bring that left knee into the chest. Extend the right leg long, take an inhale. And exhale, left knee or both knees over to the right. Reach back through that left arm. Settle in here. Now back shoulder reaching back, opening the chest, front of the chest. Pec major, pec minor. Couple more breaths. And on your next inhale, come back to center. Perfect. So this would be a good time if you would like to use a wall for this next one. We're going to do legs up the wall, or at the center of the room, this waterfall, which is similar position in the legs. So you could use a wall if you have that option. Otherwise, just here at the center of the room, we'll hug the knees into the chest. If you're making your way to a wall, just bring one side, one hip all the way up to the wall, and then come onto your back as you take the legs up the wall. And then we'll go ahead and just lift those legs. Here in waterfall, we're bringing the legs just above the hips. You can bend the knees, feet apart a little bit. And we're just letting the legs hang in space here, upside down. So good for our circulation in our feet, ankles, calves, knees, thighs. And then feel free to release at any time, but we'll stay another 5 to 10 breaths. You could also bring the hands behind the knees if you need just a little help there to keep the legs up for another few breaths. And if you are at a wall, it's a great place to stay another couple minutes if you're feeling okay there. Otherwise, we'll start to hug the knees into the chest, release those feet. Take an inhale there. And then exhale, extend the legs out. We'll find our Shavasana position, extending legs, extending arms, lying completely on the back. Making any adjustments here, wiggle, scoot. Maybe take the legs wider, arms wider. We'll take one more full breath together. Inhale. Full exhale. Relax the body. Close the eyes. Let the breath be from here on out. Let the face soften, the shoulders relax. The arms, legs, just let go. Supported by the earth. I'll go ahead and leave you here, my friends. Stay here a little longer. Getting up slowly when you are ready. Namaste.